With the last pillow roll that I made, neck roll, bolster pillow, Roman pillow, whatever you like to call it, when I came to putting the buttons on the end, I was showing you on the video to put this very long needle through and bring it out the other end, and I'm going to show you how to attach the buttons so that then you could pull it in slightly to give a nice effect. Oh no, what happened? In the midst of making that and squishing all this together, I snapped my needle. So I have loosely sewn the buttons on, and I'm going to have to come back and sew those on a bit more firmly. So then I had to think of a hack. So I got to this stage with the second one where we're all ready to go. Yeah, hollow at the moment. We're all ready to go to put the liner in. So here we go. My hack is rolling up the pillow to about halfway, take 2 lengths of button cotton. Now this is running out. This is Gutterman's button cotton, okay? But you could also take, if you've got very thin Roman blind cord, yeah, you could use that as well. But anyway, so basically roll up the pillow to about halfway, then incorporate your cord in the midst of the pillow, making sure that you've got a good 6 inches, I've tied this either end, good 6 inches hanging over. Okay, then in the usual manner as we did before, get some masking tape just to hold your pillow. Okay, so there's our rolled up pillow ready to go in. Now this is a hack we can use because we're using a rolled up pillow. If I'd have made the same mistake and this had just been purely stuffed, then, or we were just using pure stuffing, then it would be extremely difficult to do this. So in some ways I'm glad that we are actually using a pillow form. So now we need to pop this back in, pop this into the cushion cover itself, making sure you're not squashing, making sure that your thread is going to go through, yeah, and then just as in stuffing a sausage roll, or like a sausage, we're going to now actually I could do it up a bit tighter than that. Just for the moment while I'm getting it in the hole. Because we are going to take these pieces off eventually. Right, so just making it smaller for a moment to help me guide it through the hole, and keeping the seam more or less, see, that's much easier, keeping the seam along your bottom seam. Alright, so you've got the nice full roundedness on the other end. Find your cotton threads, okay, pull it so that you feel that that form is more or less central. Okay, so that's now stuffed so far. And I'm just making sure that I've got my threads hanging out, I can now reach in and remove the paper, so that will allow the form to expand without unrolling. Where's the paper? It's in there somewhere. When I say paper, I mean the painter's tape that I've been using. But I've undone it, so I don't need to get it out, because I'm using foam, you can't feel it through anyway. So that's in the middle. We've still got our two ends, which our buttons is now in the middle, which our buttons are going to fix onto eventually. Now we're going to add a bit more padding to these ends after we stitch them up. So we're going to work on one end at a time. So this is very important that we do not lose these cottons. So for the moment, I'm going to just take a piece of my paper tape, and I'm just going to tape down one end so that when I'm working on this end, I don't accidentally drag it. I'm just going to do that twice actually. So I don't drag that cotton through. So as you can see from this end, it's coming through the centre of our pillow. We need to do a running stitch now around this outside perimeter to begin to close it. I've just tied lengths of cotton, doubled over and knotted it on the end, and now starting at a seam, because I think that's got the best place for the knot to grip, starting at the seam, about 1/4 of an inch down, one stitch through the loop to formulate a top knot, and then we're literally going to do a running stitch, blah de blah de blah, 1/4 of an inch down, Now, I've got back round to where I started. I can just drop this needle down because it's on a double thread, so it won't come off. And as you can see, I put a running stitch around there. Now we need to deal with this cotton. I just got myself a wad of toy stuffing, added polyester fiberfill in it. And I'm just going to take, because this has got a knot in it which I don't want to lose, so I'm just going to take some sort of wool needle so it's easy for me to use. Take my pad now. Well, you know, I've made this into a round ball, so not a ball but a pad. I'm going to, oops, keeping my cotton out of the way, I'm going to just stuff that in the top, okay, because if we didn't put any additional stuffing in at all, then we would end up with concave ends, which we don't want. So now I'll take my really large needle and just put my 2 bits of cotton onto that, come back more or less, you can see where it's coming up, and just poke it up through that pad of stuffing that I've just put in. Get rid of that needle now. Pack the stuffing back down to where we want it. So now you can see I have my cord Whoa. So this is why you gotta be careful. That you don't lose the other end. Right, so don't pull it too tight yet. So there's my cord. Find your hanging needle that you did your running stitch on. Whoopie doopie doop. And gather up your outside. Keeping that in the middle. Keep pulling. Keep that string. So now you can see, this is why you need a double length of cotton. So now you can see I've brought that together and my string is still sticking out. Then with this cotton now, which has still got the needle on the other end, we're going to go through, and the first one I go through, then I go through my loops that I'm hanging on to draw it nice and tight. Oops, and you may do that. I'm going to do that again. So through the ends, through the loop, okay, draw that tight. Now that should hold it, and this is more or less still in the middle. Now what we need to do now we've got this far is you've got quite a few edges that you want to bring together to form a circle. So go through the whole thing a few times. I'm looking for bits that are stuck out. Right, just going through, keeping my string out, my cord out of the way. So I'm going through any odd bits to draw them closer to the centre, because we don't want them showing out from the button, do we? When you're satisfied that you've drawn in any erroneous edges to the centre, then as we did before, go back through, make sure you've got this loop. Where is it? There, that loop. Yeah, see the loop? And then I'll go once, twice, 3 times through that loop and draw it tight. Now that's a really good knot. And now I can now cut off my blue. Do not cut your white cords. Alright, so that's the blue done. The blue, and you've still got your lovely cords showing through. Now we need to do exactly the same with the other end. I can put my bit of sellotape to hold the end that I've just finished off down now, and here this end again we've got exactly the same work to do. Alright, so I've just done my running stitch around the edge. Now back to where we were last time. So we can take these cords, and look, I'm using such a big needle. This is, you know, what I would use for sewing up wool. So again, just come back under your pad, just pull out your pad a bit so that you can more or less find your middle, then come up more or less through the middle of your pad with your cord. Now I can take that off, plop my pad bits, the bits I padded back in. That's coming through the centre. Okay, then keeping this in the centre, keeping your cord more or less in the centre, we can then pull our gathers from our running stitch. Alright, remember I got the other end of this cord taped down, so I hopefully won't lose it. Okay, so let's tackle this other end. I've just cut the knot off. Well, no, I haven't. I'm going to cut the knot off. Okay, and then with one end of the string, I'm going to put it through the button. Okay. Whoops. Right, so that button is dangling on there now. And then with this end, I am just going to, this is an easy way to make a slip knot. I'm just going to, nothing's working for me today. I'm just going to make a loop. Okay, so I've got a loop, and then with the other end, whoops, I'm just going to come up. Nothing's working today. Come up with that other end through the loop. So now I've got two ends, and I can pull that loop nice and tight. But what I want to do is make sure I'm putting pressure yeah, that's all nice and tight. A little bit more. So I am going to grab one end, push down with my button, and just tighten that a little more. When I got it as moved, when I got it as tight as I want it, I'm going to tie it just ordinary granny knots. I'm trying to keep my finger pressure on that button to hold it down. Just granny knots. Just tie that off once, and now it's held. Under that button. Twice. Now I can get rid of that string. Okay, yay! So I've got this one pulled in nicely, and that one pulled in nicely. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Nice finished bolster without the need of doing it this method, without the need of having that great big long needle. So that's a jack hack. So there we are, 2 Roman cushions. Very nice.